you to this first regular meeting of the second semester. I'm the chair and Brazil is the vice chair. I don't know if Brazil is here yet. Not yet? Okay, I hope they come soon. So I welcome them and I want to thank again the last chair, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and I think vice chair was Colombia. So I thank them for their chairwomanship. I'm advised that we have the required quorum and we can proceed with the meeting. So the first item we have to deal with is the order of business, and that was sent as document CD OD 160/25. And the following items are on the agenda. First, of course, consideration and adoption of the draft order of business. Second, presentation and consideration of the draft CD work plan for the period July-December 25. Third, dialogue among member states on roadmap for capacity building to improve trade in Americas. Fourth, progress report on the approved CD work plan 2025. Five, offered by the government of Ecuador to host the 12th Inter-American Meeting of Ministers of Education with a draft resolution. And six, other business. So if there are no objections to this agenda, then it is approved. And I think I should use that as well. So the second item on the agenda is the presentation and approval of the work plan for the period July-December. And this work plan was sent to all of you, and I hope you had a good look at it, because it organizes our work for the next 6 months. So I would like to start by presenting the proposed work plan to the delegations. The proposed overarching theme for the second semester is capacity building to improve trade in the Americas as a pillar of inclusive and sustainable development. This theme recognizes that economic development requires strategic engagement and investments in both human capital and institutional systems to enable all countries to participate effectively in trade. The objective for the semester is to develop a roadmap for capacity building to improve trade in the Americas, grounded in the priorities of member states, informed by good practices and empirical evidence. Also oriented toward practical cooperation and partnership to strengthen institutional and human capacities to improve trade across the region. The draft work plan outlines a series of substantial policy dialogues among our member states to address the common challenge of one of the America's principal constraints, that is, inclusive and effective participation in regional and global trade. As you know, despite decades of policy efforts to lower trade barriers and advance regional integration, Latin America and the Caribbean economies remain less connected into global markets than other emerging economies. These challenges are not merely operational, but constrain broader development outcomes. Research from the IMF underscores the substantial gains that could be achieved by improving trade logistics in Latin America and the Caribbean. According to an analysis of 2023, if we can narrow the infrastructure and customs efficiency gap between Latin American and Caribbean economies and advanced economies by just 10 to 50%, then we can increase regional exports between 5 and 30% and raise GDP by 1.5 to 7%. These findings highlight the transformative potential of targeted investments and institutional reforms to enhance trade competitiveness and regional integration. At the same time, the global trade landscape is evolving at an unprecedented pace, presenting both new challenges and strategic opportunities for the region. The rapid growth of digitally delivered services, the restructuring of global value chains, and the accelerated adoption of digital technologies and customs and logistics systems are reshaping how countries engage in international commerce. These shifts highlight the urgent need for our region to strengthen its adaptive capacity to compete in an increasingly digital and service-oriented global economy. So what we see is there are two trends. One, if we can get more efficient, if we can narrow the gap, efficiency gap, and our infrastructure gap with the advanced economies by 10 to 50%, then we can increase regional exports between 5 and 30%. And we can gain a raise of GDP by 1.5 to 7%. So this is a challenge for us to work on because it can really improve life for everyone. At the same time, we see a lot of global challenges, and especially the restructuring of global value chain, which will continue, but also the digital technologies in customs and logistics, which is very important. And it can work for our benefit, but we have to adapt to it. I remember when I was in Suriname, I had to give a presentation to a chain of the DP, what do you call it, DP World, I think. They have a lot of havens, what's in havens? Ports. Yes, they have a lot of ports, and they asked me to give a lecture on the political situation in the Americas. But before I could do it, there was something going on because there was some people had signaled from Dubai or somewhere that in our port in Suriname, some people were messing with the goods, you know. So we were not aware of it. The company was not aware of it, but somebody somewhere else in the world saw that some containers, somebody was messing with them. And that's, I think, the challenge. People are checking us from the outside, from the inside. The digital period in our global economy is there, and we have to adapt to it. We can also use it to our benefit. So as chair, I welcome the evolution to more practical and action-oriented exchanges that can inform the design of policies and programs to effectively increase the trade capacity in our hemisphere. I wish to emphasize that proposed solutions should focus on what can be achieved within the context of the organization. We are not going to solve problems which are being dealt with in other organizations such as WTO, UNCTAD, and others. But what can we do as OAS? So let's focus on that. As we gather here today and plan to meet again every month, I encourage our delegations to take this time to share how they are addressing this challenge in their own countries. This ongoing exchange will help us capture opportunities for future collaboration while generating an evidence base of regional best practices. I'm confident that this exchange of experiences will aid us in identifying concrete actions to improve policies and serve as an impetus to regional cooperation in the context of the OAS. This July meeting will initiate the semester's discussions by identifying the main constraints, gaps, and opportunities that affect the region's ability to build trade-related capacities. From August through November, the sessions will address a specific topic aligned with a broader theme, including promoting the ease of doing business, MSME formalization and trade facilitation, institutional and human resource readiness for trade, nearshoring and supply chain management, and key digital readiness, specifically fintech and e-commerce. The final session of the semester in December will be aimed at consolidating consensus on the roadmap and laying the groundwork for structured, results-oriented dialogue and cooperation among member states. With this introduction, I would now like to open the floor to delegations to discuss the proposed work plan. With your inputs, endorsements, and ownership, I believe that this work plan can help frame a more productive dialogue that will yield results and benefit for all member states. And the work plan, as I have said during the handing over of the chair, I said it's not written in stone, it's a work plan, and if we find that we should, change something in between, we can always do that. So let's go on this next period together, and if we have things that we forgot today, the next meeting we can still come back to it and adapt wherever we need to adapt. So I don't know if there are any requests to discuss the work plan. The floor is open. El Salvador.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. My delegation would like to congratulate you for taking on the chairmanship of the Inter-American Council for Integral Development. You can count on this permanent mission support, and I commend you and thank you for presenting this work plan. We positively see the thematic approach for strengthening trade in the Americas as a pillar of inclusive and sustainable development, which reflects a strategic outlook that brings together trade, institutional capacity, and human development as key elements for more equitable and fair participation in the regional development process. Now, what we see as new is the proposal to put together a roadmap which would contribute to tying prior mandates and those decisions adopted in the different ministerial processes, as well as availing ourselves of available tools such as CopperNet. I would also thank you that in drafting this roadmap, we take into account we convene informal meetings with interpretation for us to interact with national authorities. This is a very worthwhile and important aspect for our countries, and this calls for technical expertise that would strengthen the tools that we have here at the OAS on the subject matter. I would also like to reiterate that with this work plan, the results that we hope to achieve will enable us to strengthen the pillar of development which is an aspiration we work on every day from city and the Secretariat, which supports us to that goal. For the purpose of strengthening our democracies, economic development, social development, and democracy are all interdependent and mutually reinforce each other. We reiterate our commitment to continue contributing toward firm contributions that will strengthen the development of our region. Thank you.
Gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The delegation of Guatemala would like to congratulate you for taking on the chairmanship of city. We recognize the clarity and the scope of the work plan for the first half of this year. We recognize especially the openness for dialogue and the experience that backs this process. We are certain that this will enable us to be successful, along with your very distinguished team. The results-based approach that defines this approach and coming up with a work plan for building capacities geared toward enhancing trade in the Americas. The open exchange is going to be very important because this is an opportunity for us to promote substantive discussions and collaboration, enabling us to identify common challenges and to come up with cooperation mechanisms on topics that are of great interest to the whole region. We share in the vision that human capacity building, institutional capacity building are essential for us to create more inclusive, resilient, sustainable societies. In keeping with the general policy of Guatemala's government, 24-28, to create development opportunities for all. That is in line with city's work plan, and we underscore the importance of the integration of the MSMEs, which are an engine for employment and growth, and technical and professional training, which will enhance skills and the digitalization as a strategic tool to ensure equitable, timely access to opportunities. We also appreciate the strategy to align SETI and CITI's activities as well as strategic goals in the region. To delve into these initiatives through the Secretariat will be important for us to find synergies and to come up with comprehensive proposals. This dialogue process should work as a platform for each country to share concrete cooperation and best practices and proposals. Without a doubt, many member states have success stories that they could share that would be very helpful to ensure more effective collaboration. Mr. Chairman, we appreciate the work that's been done over the last couple of years to strengthen city, to optimize its working spaces, and to avail ourselves of each one of its sessions and technical areas. This is a process that is showing positive results. Guatemala reasserts its support for this council as a venue for regional dialogue and will continue to actively support its effort as well as each one of its sectoral processes and the different committees or commissions that are putting together a more inclusive and sustainable agenda for development for the region. Thank you.
Thank you, Guatemala. And I give the floor to Brazil.
Thank you, Brazil. would like to start by congratulating you for taking on the chairmanship. We wish for you the best of success, and we offer our full intent to collaborate toward your success. As regards the work plan, Brazil is very grateful for it, and we agree with the priorities laid out in it. For the second half of city, we think that the plan should be built on initiatives already existing. We agree with that approach to strengthen systemically the process, availing ourselves of the installed capacity we already have here at the OAS. We would also like to offer some suggestions and ideas that might be taken into account in the work plan to be worked in to the extent that it's possible in our dialogues and in the results. For example, working with those organizations that come together under the summit's working group to find out what activities are being carried out by way of training and capacity building in these organizations. Also to consider initiatives within the scope of the different regional and sub-regional groupings to take part in this debate hemisphere-wide. Now, regarding the initiatives already carried out by that are carried out by the OAS, synergy should be sought in the different conclusions that emanate from the different processes. For example, those in the competitiveness exchange activities that will be hosted for the first time in August in Brazil. A very important role is to contribute to training of small and mid-sized companies and underscore the importance of broadening programs like small business development centers, offering technical assistance to businesses. Through SEBRAE Brazil, we could establish a partnership along those lines. Regarding talks about structural aspects, we need to deepen the participation of the city in those discussions underway in coordinating border management to involve the multidimensional the multidimensional security and SETI, taking into account, or that would help to facilitate trade as regards contributions made by states to implement this roadmap that you propose. We could take into account holding a mapping exercise of national initiatives to offer training in foreign trade matters and to exchange best practices to slowly identify common objectives. Finally, Mr. Chair, regarding the goals, benchmarks for assessing progress, I think it's important for us as a first step to take stock of those initiatives that exist in the hemisphere already and at the regional level, and the different goals that are already set for us to move towards specific goals. So these are just suggestions that could be discussed later on, Mr. Chairman. We obviously are always open to this exchange of ideas, our conversation, and so we offer our support to your chairmanship and the full success for this semester here at City.
Thank you, Brazil, and now you know why you're vice chair of for this period. No, it's clear that we want to integrate the different things which are being done by other organizations so that we can come up with this roadmap that, okay, this is what we have done already, this is what is being done by that organization or that one, so that we all know how to strengthen ourselves and increase the capacity. I give the floor now to St. Kitts and Nevis.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning to the Secretariat, Excellencies, colleagues, all. My delegation would first like to congratulate you again, Chair, on assuming the chairmanship of this all-important council, which is of particular interest to St. Kitts and Nevis. We believe that the work plan you have presented is quite relevant as it speaks to some of the issues that are of particular importance to us. For example, my country is consistently working on improving the ease of doing business, a matter that speaks directly to our ability to be competitive on the world trade stage. Equally important is the fintech and e-commerce aspects. These topics, because the development of these areas of trade are essential in order to do business and engage in trade in a modern environment, in a modern world. Therefore, we look forward to exchanging best practices and following this work plan to the benefit of all as the OAS does its part in enhancing and increasing our trade capacity and efficiency. May it please you, Chair.
Thank you, St. Kitts and Nevis. I see no further requests, and I propose that the Council adopt the work plan reflecting the comments and suggestions which were presented by the delegations. And with no objections, the Council will proceed with adopting then the amended work plan. Thank you. So we now go to item 3 on the agenda. And today we don't have a panel of experts. What we want to do is just, we can't say informal because this is a formal meeting, but to have a discussion, a dialogue, a real dialogue on this roadmap for capacity building to improve trade in the Americas. It's nice to have some final destination, to have a roadmap where we can have a good document in the end where each member state can benefit from. But we have to put, it's like making a big puzzle, and we have to put in the different pieces of the puzzle so that they will fit. And I know that for every country that will be different, the needs are different, and also what each one has to offer is different. Bigger countries have more trade, of course, than smaller countries, but they have more institutions, institutional capacities, and so on. But everyone has particular needs. If we look at the digital aspects of trade, before you could buy a book, it had to be shipped and so on. Now you just download it on your iPad and you pay for it, and the trade was done. It's a lot of things like that, which with artificial intelligence also coming in, that maybe the computers will trade for us, I don't know, in the future. But let's just proceed to this third item. And this dialogue is guided by concept note CD in 665/25. So as indicated when I assumed the role of chair of this council, the issues of capacity building and trade in the Americas affect us all, and a consultative process among member states and key stakeholders is imperative to identifying and overcoming these challenges. The objective of this session is to take stock of the region's principal constraints and emerging opportunities for strengthening human and institutional capacity to participate more effectively and inclusively in regional and global trade. This interactive dialogue will serve as a launching pad for the subsequent thematic meetings. and foster convergence around the core priorities, principles, and cooperation mechanisms that should guide the design of the roadmap. The topics raised for discussion will strengthen consensus among member states on the importance of investing in trade-related capacity as a strategic pathway for achieving inclusive and sustainable development across the Americas. This discussion will be focused on the following areas and be broken down in 4 parts. Firstly, we will explore the existing gaps. Secondly, the challenges. Thirdly, the opportunities. And finally, actionable solutions. To initiate the dialogue, let us first examine the key capacity gaps that currently limit trade performance and integration across the Americas. We will consider the following. What are the key capacity gaps that currently limit trade performance and integration across the Americas? For instance, workforce skills, customs procedures, digital readiness, infrastructure. Second question is, which sectors and/or member states in the region are most in need of capacity building support to enhance trade competitiveness? Third question, are there gaps in data, information sharing, or institutional coordination that hinder effective trade facilitation? And fourth, to what extent are SMEs and underrepresented groups supported in trade-related capacity building? I open the floor to delegations wishing to share their perspectives, experiences, and recommendations on this thematic area. So the floor is open for member states. And I hope we have an open discussion so that we really can pinpoint what are really the gaps, the challenges, the opportunities, and hopefully some solutions. I recognize Costa Rica.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Executive Secretary and colleagues. Well, first and foremost, Costa Rica would like to thank you for guiding this very important session under the leadership, your leadership, and would like to reaffirm its commitment for finding common goals for integral development. My delegation would like to greet the work of this semester as well as this meeting, which is looking at putting together a roadmap and capacity building to improve trade in the Americas. This is a very opportune initiative, particularly in this international context, which is so challenged with geopolitical and logistical challenges included. Looking at trade opening up, as you mentioned, we still have structural challenges before us with limited capacity, complex customs procedures, and reduced participation in terms of global value. We are talking about raw materials and limiting added value. So given that panorama, we have an integral approach to strengthen international trade. And precisely for that, we would like to share 3 different components of our own experience that we feel are important. First, strengthening technical education through public-private alliances or partnerships. One of these initiatives is linguistic alliances and modernization of technical, professional, or vocational training. These are key areas for improving skills, looking at digital technology as well, and advanced manufacturing areas. Another area that we find very important is digitalization of foreign trade. 2.0 program looks at imports, especially for SMEs. This model can be a reference for the region. Third, this is a proactive strategy for direct foreign investment, as you mentioned, Mr. Chairman, also taking advantage of some of the nearshoring opportunities. Sustainability and resilience, which has made us a trustworthy destination with certification in some of these areas. And precisely under your supervision, we can consider the following components for building the roadmap. The first is strengthening institutional capacity to have technical teams that can design and carry out public policies that are effective, sustainable, and are lasting over the long run. Trade and labor strategies as well are important. We have to ensure that trade leads to opportunities and dignified work for all sectors of the population. The third element is promoting digital services, making this more intensive when it comes to knowledge. This means we have to have digital improvements and having innovations. And precisely in this context, then, we feel that both SEDI and CD play a crucial role. One thing is technical cooperation and exchange of good practices through Copanesque, and have a regional agenda for trade capacity, and have programs for logistics and digital skills and trade skills, promoting certification. And then the last point is to focus on monitoring the progress with common indicators that will allow us to follow up the progress in strategic areas, development of different capacities. So, Mr. Chairman, finally, we feel that this roadmap that we are beginning with is very relevant, and it's very ambitious, and should be in keeping with all the realities of our countries. Before wrapping up, I'd like to reiterate Costa Rica's commitment. My delegation is committed to training people and making things sustainable. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Costa Rica. I think that these are very good elements that we should incorporate, and thank you for your presentation. I give the floor to the Bahamas.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, all. At the outset, Chair, I wish to congratulate you on your assumption of the chairmanship of CD and commit the Bahamas' complete support to executing your very timely work plan over the course of your tenure. We also wish to commend you for convening today's CD meeting on such an important topic, particularly in light of the ongoing global trade adjustments that we all have to contend with. The Bahamas welcomes the focus on capacity building to improve trade in the Americas and fully supports the process of co-developing a regional roadmap. As a small island developing state, we view trade capacity building not only as a pathway to greater economic integration, but as a foundation for inclusive, resilient development. Chair, the Bahamas faces structural challenges that impact our trade capacity, including the fact that we are a small domestic market with high import dependence, the fact that there is institutional fragmentation between domestic agencies responsible for trade, business licensing, and compliance, and climate vulnerability, which disrupts logistics and supply chains. The Bahamas, like many small economies, also faces limited trade-related institutional capacity, particularly in standards, certification, and customs modernization. We face gaps in digital readiness and e-commerce enablement for SMEs, and fragmented data collection on trade and services and emerging sectors. In particular, Chair, micro and small enterprises, women-led businesses, and producers in what we call our family islands, which are the islands beyond the capital, often lack access to trade training, export support services, and market intelligence. In order to address our domestic challenges with trade capacity, the Bahamas is advancing its National Trade Diversification Program. This is a strategic national initiative to identify new export sectors, reduce barriers to services trade, and expand the Bahamas' trade footprint into Latin America and Africa in particular. This program also will be built on multi-stakeholder partnerships and data-driven planning. The Bahamas supports a targeted approach to closing data and digital infrastructure gaps, especially in service trade and MSME participation. And we believe AI and digital systems can be used to bridge institutional and knowledge gaps. The Bahamas therefore welcomes opportunities to collaborate with OAS member states on initiatives to strengthen capacity building in trade and build on the work we are already advancing locally. We recommend that the initiatives that are to be developed within the framework of the OAS be done in partnership with institutions like the IDB, ITC, and UNCTAD, and can focus on things like e-certification systems, trade readiness assessments, and cross-border pilot projects with real-time monitoring. In terms of monitoring and evaluation of our collective efforts, we believe success must be tracked through a shared results framework that includes indicators for MSME integration into global value chains, gender-responsive trade programming, reduction in clearance and logistics times, and growth in service exports and digital trade. Chair, the Bahamas looks forward to our further dialogue on this important topic and is ready to collaborate with member states and partners to build a dynamic, inclusive, and future-ready trade ecosystem across the Americas. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Bahamas. I heard a lot of good things which have been identified, and I think that we will, for the next sessions, some of the aspects will fit in those sessions. So I think that when we come to those sessions, we will come back to some of these issues, but it's a very valuable list which we heard. Thank you very much, and I give the floor now to Mexico.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My delegation would like to congratulate you for having taken on the chairmanship of CD. You have our full willingness to work constructively and in a very positive way. We reaffirm our commitment to make progress to strengthen CD, bearing in mind that this is the responsibility of member states to ensure efficiency and effectiveness so that we have concrete results and we fulfill our missions to promote cooperation amongst member states in the Americas for integral development, and particularly to contribute to eliminating extreme poverty, as is established in the Charter of the OAS. We recognize the dynamic proposed for this CD session, which aims to provide open interaction amongst delegations on the different components for a roadmap to strengthen capacity when it comes to trade. In this context, we underscore the relevance that the valuable exchange of national experiences and good practices has, which is part of the political dialogue in CD sessions, given that in this space, this is where we share successful cases of different projects that can be replicated in other countries and that are sources of opportunities for cooperation. Now, with regard to the topic that has been put before us for the semester on development of capacity to improve trade in the Americas as the pillar of inclusive and sustainable development and the definition of your roadmap, we feel that this is of utmost importance, particularly when it comes to the complex scenario that the region and the world confronts in this area, as well as the essential role this plays for development, growth, and development for our peoples. We believe that in this role, CD has tools, spaces, and mechanisms that can support the training of skills and logistical modernization, which leads to the potential of our economies to improve international regional trade. I should also like to mention particularly that the Inter-American Agency for Cooperation and Development here at the OAS already is making efforts to enhance and optimize cooperation and the partnerships for development in the region. My delegation believes that international trade in the region is limited because of the traditional barriers and because of the persistence of institutional, technical, and operational gaps that restrict effective participation of member states in international markets. We believe that economic international promotion can only be effective if it is accompanied by an institutional infrastructure that takes into account skilled, capacity-built people and interinstitutional links, which functions with the necessary tools so that we can fulfill and take advantage of all the trade opportunities, including investment. We believe that skills to attract investments and trade are not necessarily focused on the federal level exclusively, but can be taken into account in a very different way, both sectorally and regionally. And therefore, the roadmap should not necessarily be homogeneous, but it rather has to explicitly recognize that there are regions, there are sectors and communities with lesser international inclusion that require different profiles when it comes to capacity building. It is necessary to broaden the notion of inclusion so that we can have a cross-cutting approach to communities which are marginally sidelined. I'm talking about cooperatives, rural areas, indigenous peoples, informal sectors, export sectors, and non-integrated other areas in the value chain. Diplomacy, economic diplomacy, has shown us that these sectors can be part and parcel of external successful trade areas when there is technical skills and access and institutional platforms. According to the economic projections of ECLAC, Mr. Chairman, published in April 2025, the region requires stepping up its involvement through a combination of macroeconomic policies and productive development, which is much more proactive than what it has had thus far. And thus, we propose having investment in physical and human capital, and to put in practice productive agendas in sectors that drive the economy. We feel that the region should not only invest more, but invest better to adapt itself to the new technologies and promote initiatives, clusters, and good business practices to promote deep-seated improvements in capital accumulation. And it should also adequately take advantage of social and environmental capital of the economies. Mexico agrees that to have greater impact and impulse for providing services and goods regionally, we have to iron out the regulatory barriers, security of data, and some of the other gaps when it comes to access and technological possibilities. We reiterate our commitment to promote steps towards greater regional integration for trade and to advance when it comes to ease of trade for the benefit of all peoples of the Americas. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mexico. I agree that the roadmap probably will not be one homogeneous thing, but different regions have different needs, and that's exactly what we try to figure out together so that we can make a good roadmap where everybody can benefit from. And some regions will need other skills maybe than others. But thank you for the contribution, and we will take it on. The Dominican Republic.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. First and foremost, our delegation would like to sincerely congratulate you for assuming the presidency of CD, as well as the other people at the top table. You can count on our cooperation for carrying out and moving towards the goals for this semester. We truly appreciate the decision to focus the debate on strengthening capacities as a pillar to improve trade in our region. We also fully agree that investment in human capital as well as in institutional wherewithal will allow us to move towards having more inclusive and sustainable development. Mr. Chairman, In our country, the Ministry of Industry and Trade for SMEs has identified a significant gap between the competencies of our labor force and the demand in the productive sector. And in point of fact, 49% of manufacturing industries reported in 2023 problems in finding candidates with the necessary profiles. Now, this situation is in keeping with the data from the private sector, which says that more than half of the companies find similar barriers. This gap of alignment between educational supply is a critical obstacle for competitiveness and trade interaction regionally. This tells us that there is a shared urgency throughout the entire region. We have to prepare our people for the emerging sectors and do it in a strategic way. And that is why we believe that the roadmap proposed should prioritize technical cooperation in areas such as training programs, dual training programs in technological areas, automatization, systematic data gathering, finishing school programs, which improve employability in industries and growth. Greater coverage of scholarships from the OAS that include learning strategic languages such as English, and training programs, short hybrid ones that are accessible for all people, young people. We underscore the importance, furthermore, to monitoring the national initiatives of training with regional priorities. So along that line, then, we propose establishing national points of contact, ideally the Ministry of Industry and Commerce, that allow us to map and articulate all of the initiatives that already exist in every country so that we can scale them up to give results. The Executive Secretary of Integral Development said he can actively play a key role as a driving force of good practices and to promote technical cooperation which is adapted to the realities of our countries. Also, it's crucial that the indicators of the roadmap be based on national priorities. Each country has moved ahead in its own way in terms of modernization and institutional upgrading. So we have to take advantage of that progress. We have to look at the lessons learned, take them on, and look at the roadmap so that it's more sustainable and effective over the course of time. And then finally, we reiterate our commitment with a vision of trade, which is not just wrapped around numbers, but rather the ability to generate quality jobs, close these territorial gaps and gender gaps as well, and to provide new opportunities for our young people. We reaffirm our will to work with all member states to build a shared pragmatic vision and taking advantage of TOOL as a means for sustainable development and bringing us together in the Americas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dominican Republic. Indeed, we need a lot of training programs, I think. Idea of points of contact will be taken on. And we have to look at each country, what their priorities, of course, are. Thank you for your submission. I give the floor now to the Ambassador of Bolivia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The Third National State of Bolivia congratulates you for taking on the chairmanship of CEDI and places itself at your service. We're certain that with your human quality and capacity, you will shepherd this city session well down the path that the American states deserve, the most noble and important role of reducing poverty. And this is something that we work on through this body. We thank you for the convening of this meeting so that we can engage in a consultative advisory position for us to identify limitations and goals and building human capacities such that we can enhance the trade in the region. We appreciate this space as an opportunity for us to move forward in building an inclusive, pragmatic, and cohesive roadmap for the member states for us to achieve a more equitable integration. This is the perspective of our country to strengthen capacities which should be addressed structurally. There are shortcomings throughout the region that hamstring trade competitiveness, such as the logistics and the red tape, as well as lacking in institutional capability and intersectoral communication. These are all shortcomings that amount to challenges that are even more aggravated in countries such as Bolivia that don't have access to the sea. Now, for our country, these limitations are not only a technical problem, but a structural condition that needs to be addressed via regional solutions that are pinpointed and specialized. Within this context, Bolivia has pushed for a host of measures aimed at bringing down administrative technological barriers that impede trade. One of the most important policies in this realm has been to implement the single foreign trade window created as a result of a 2024 decree a year ago as a national instrument to upgrade and harmonize our procedures of foreign trade. This is the only electronic platform for processing the necessary documents required by authorities to centralize and to make transparent those procedures for trade, working with all of the different entities involved in trade, as well as customs in an interoperable system. There are 4 different institutions that take place in this, 7 different procedures, electronic processes, over 8,000 different active users with 76,000 hits on record. This all shows the concrete impact of a policy geared toward overcoming operational hindrances that held up the efficiency of our foreign trade. Bolivia thinks that the roadmap that you propose that be built should be used as a living, progressive, adaptable document in keeping with each country's needs. We're all in for taking on greater technological wherewithal to overcome structural impediments between member states and for there to be ongoing means of interaction and articulation between all of the parties involved in each one of our countries. Bolivia, Mr. Chairman, reasserts its conviction that trade can only become a driver of development when rooted in effective and efficient sound policies and hemisphere-wide cooperation geared toward good results to the benefit of our peoples. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador. I think that indeed logistics and red tape are exactly the things that we need to address. And different countries, I think, have tried with platforms, but it's very good if we can learn more from this electronic platform that you are using there. I give the floor now to Panama. Ambassador.
Gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The permanent mission of the Republic of Panama at the OAS would like to sincerely congratulate you for presiding over SIDI in this second half of the year. We envision that you'll be quite successful, and you can count on the full support of our delegation to push forward these shared goals for development in the Americas. The focus that you have proposed, the strengthening of capacity to enhance trade in the Americas as a inclusive and sustainable pillar for development, seems right on mark to us in a global context characterized by economic fragmentation, logistic challenges, and digital transformation. This initiative offers an opportunity to align our national strategies with a shared hemispheric outlook. We fully agree that trade cannot just be seen as a transactional matter. It should be used as a strategic tool to bring down poverty, to create good jobs, and to close structural gaps. Coming up with a regional roadmap on this subject matter should prioritize investment in human capital, digital infrastructure, regulatory frameworks that are updated and modern, as well as effective cooperation mechanisms. To this effect, the Republic of Panama highly appreciates the work done by the technical groups of the Inter-American Committee on Science and Technology, especially those efforts aimed at building frameworks of governance, training, cooperation, artificial intelligence, an area that shall define future competitiveness of our economies. For the foregoing, Panama would like to contribute actively to this process by sharing some of our national priorities that we deem important within the context of the roadmap. First, Panama continues to be a strategic logistic center for the Americas. The Panama Canal connects more than 170 countries in 1,900 ports, moving 6% of world trade. Our commitment to sustainability digitalizing customs and logistics continues to be a priority for us. Through the digital hub, we have a national strategy to become a center for technological innovation. This includes a digital infrastructure, human skills access to the ICT ecosystem by attracting investments. We offer a competitive environment through special regimes, the EMMA, which calls for the incorporation global-wide with fiscal and migratory incentives. This policy gives rise to skilled work, the transfer of knowledge, and places our country as a corporate hub for manufacture. This is part of a structural transformation center with electronic documentation contributing to updating the administrative corporate environment, creating a more transparent ecosystem that's safer and more nimble. We reassert Panama's commitment to regional technical cooperation. The recent coordination of the 17th edition of America's Competitiveness Exchange, bringing more than 60 leaders throughout Latin America and other continents together, as well as the Economic Caribbean Latin American Economic Forum, has recognized the importance of there being venues for dialogue between governments, academic sector, private sector, through multilateral organizations. As a strategic engine, we promote investments in sustainable tourism, renewables, the pharmaceutical industry, as well as agribusiness, with active rural financing, storage infrastructure, and food security in the agricultural sector. All of this has been put into effect within the context of sustainable and resilient development. Panama is a country of connectivity, integration, and openness, reiterates its willingness to continue actively working with all of the member states by sharing proposals, skills, good practices as regards facilitating trade, digitizing, and technological training. Only through a truly representative focus can we build a sound and germane roadmap, including principles of equity, cooperation, solidarity, that inspire the inter-American system. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador. I think that digitalization is indeed fundamental, and we will surely make use of your experience as Panama with that. And I now give the floor to the Ambassador of Peru.
Mr. Chairman, Peru congratulates you for taking on the chairmanship of CITI. We trust that your stay here will be typical of you, that we've come to know of you as far as your capacity. Now, according to statistics on economic development published in the U.S. and Canada, ours is one of the most open economies in the world. In Peru, not only does our average tariff is low comparatively, but there is no difference in how we treat national foreign investments. In Peru, we do not believe in protectionism, be it overt or covert. Equal treatment of national and foreign investment is assured by our very Constitution. Not only that, but in its nearly 30 years of operation, the Constitutional Court, the National Institute of Defense of Intellectual Property Competitiveness, INDECOPI, have applied rigorously this standard of taking down any bureaucratic barrier or legal barrier that leads to any type of inequality. Peru is open not only to goods and services, it is completely open to national and foreign capital. capital can flow in and flow out of our country without any overt or covert impediment. We are open to the free flow of capital. That is what makes us a peaceful nation. In essence, our commitment to international free trade runs deep, and it has resulted from our experience. By our very experience, we know that protectionism is a mistake. We know what free trade means to development. We renew that commitment, and we assure our support to your leadership in this effort. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. Indeed, if all trade was free, we probably would have less problems in the world. But we are not there yet. But we will learn also from Peru's experience. Thank you very much. And I give the floor now to Chile.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, everyone, colleagues. I would like to congratulate you for taking on the chairmanship of this Inter-American Council for Integral Development. Personally, I haven't been here long. I've only been in Washington for a couple of months, and I share with you the exchange, I agree with you in this, what you seek, and the dynamic that characterizes city, going beyond mere statements by member states, ensuring a more active participatory dialogue among us. Now, Chile applauds this innovative methodology, and we will work to that end and come up with more practical results than what would just be declarative, as you said in a meeting last week. I support all the remarks made by those who spoke before me, especially as regards trying to achieve a roadmap that indeed be concrete and practical. Without a doubt, all of our countries have structural differences in different areas that go from infrastructure to cultural matters. And that's how it ought to be. That is the heterogeneity that characterizes this region. Beyond the barriers to trade, traditional barriers, right now what's in fashion are tariff barriers or labeling or sanitary and phytosanitary measures. We focus on what can help us from this forum to facilitate trade regionally among our countries. As rightfully said, delegations such as Bolivia or Costa Rica and Panama that raised this, one of the key aspects that we see today is digital transformation. So this Secretariat and this Inter-American Council, we have the possibility of coming up with a roadmap focused on digital transformation aspects that would enable each state to enhance inter-regional trade or even good practices that can be helpful for other regions or from other regions so that we can continue to improve. So without a doubt, having a pragmatic roadmap, somewhat limited perhaps in scope, that can generate an echo, so to speak, with practical results rooted in what actually exists in our countries, can be a product that we could offer to enhance trade among our countries. I reiterate my congratulations to you, Mr. Chairman, for taking on the chairmanship. You can count on Chile to collaborate with you here, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Chile, for your reflection on what has been said so far and the importance of the digital transformation and coming up with a pragmatic roadmap. I give the floor now to Ecuador.
Señor presidente,
Mr. Chairman, Executive Secretary, representatives, delegates, I congratulate you for bringing this topic to the floor, so important to Ecuador and other member states, strengthening our trade capacities as a means to achieve inclusive development through this joint effort, coordinated effort. I agree with Chile that this should be practical and thorough. Now, from our standpoint at Ecuador, we believe that there are three essential areas that are a priority to us. First is diversifying exports, promoting technical capacity in strategic sectors with training programs about which we've already spoken on other occasions in digital skills, artificial intelligence, logistics, international trade, enabling us to enhance the productive base and to add value to our products, value added. Now, innovation, technological innovation in the productive sector, strengthening digital logistic sectors, and using free zones as tools to enhance the competitiveness of our states. 3, interinstitutional management, modernizing customs processes, and facilitating international trade are all key to proceed and advance in these areas. It's also necessary to us to work on a hemisphere-wide initiative, enabling us to create a safe and attractive environment for investment. This is a key tool for us to make trade more dynamic, to promote innovation, and to enhance competitiveness, not just of our businesses, but of our workers, our labor. This will enable us to attract technology, knowledge, capital, to enhance this productivity and to foster the creation of jobs in all of our countries. We also think that this is an opportunity for us to resume a dialogue proposed by Ecuador in the past about the importance that our sub-region think strategically, building bridges to enhance our value chains, making them more complementary and resilient. We observe that the lack of training in digital skills, logistics, and international trade affects the preparedness of our labor force. So technological physical infrastructure needs to be worked on. Our small and mid-sized companies, as well as vulnerable groups such as women, business workers, and indigenous groups, need to have greater access to these programs, enabling them to actively be integrated into international trade. We think that the time has come for us to strengthen those areas that the OAS has been working on. The Cooperation and Development Agency, the Inter-American Committee of Ports, and other bodies of SETI to elevate its technical capacity such that we can create strategic partners with the private sector, academic sector, civil society, and other actors. These partners are essential for us to capitalize on investments and technological transformations such that we can modernize trade processes. And also, we think it's necessary to regionally move forward in an investment program. Regional cooperation poses an existential opportunity for us to enhance technological transparency by creating networks of knowledge and digital platforms that will enable us to share best practices with each other, such as what our colleague from Costa Rica just talked about in talking about trade digitalization. Developing digital skills throughout the region with the focus on small and mid-sized companies and vulnerable groups, and with a gender focus, is necessary to digitize, modernize customs processes, and to establish a regional mechanism of coordination and follow-up that can be led perhaps by CITI at the OAS, will endow us with the best conditions to achieve regional integration and our sub-regions by creating technical boards with technical experts as members as well as seeking out greater technical cooperation funds to the support of all our countries in these areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Ecuador, for all the suggestions and training in digital skills is indeed very important in this period. I give the floor now to Argentina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My delegation would also like to start by congratulating you for chairing City and offer our full support to your efforts here. The work program approved recently and the proposal to put together a roadmap address very important matters as a deficit of infrastructure, building digital skills, training on value change, training for MSMEs, regulatory challenges for fintech and e-trade. The approach of these themes is very important in a regional context in which we see much heterogeneity of skills and the need to strengthen convergence in production and trade. Notwithstanding the importance of this discussion hemisphere-wide at City, it's also important that they also come within a approach at the sub-regional level addressing these same topics as has been laid out in the work plan in order to not duplicate efforts and resources. As an example, in Aladi, trade facilitating topics are addressed, bring down technical trade barriers through a regional agreement, electronic SPS certification through meetings of experts and exchange of good regulatory practices, among other methods. To this effect, it might help us to articulate efforts in capacity building with the General Secretariat of Aladi. Mindful that City also will be consulting with other technical partners such as Mercosur in order to share data, identify important initiatives, and to offer policy ideas to enrich the debate. We do think that it's timely for us to underscore the work carried out within the Mercosur Committee, gathering those measures that affect cross-zone trade and the identification of means to enhance that. Likewise, as regards the concern about physical connectiveness and facilitating customs procedures, a second report was issued by Mercosur that addresses the difficulties we have observed in comprehensive control efforts, and we've come up with different strategies to overcome those obstacles. Furthermore, as regards facilitating trade, I should point out that progress has been made in developing the International Convention of SPS that encourages the implementation of this mechanism across national SPS systems in the contracting countries, a system that is in effect in Bolivia, Argentina, Chile, Colombia, Guatemala, Guyana, Panama, and Peru. These are just some examples that have resulted from cooperation and coordination among member states that are worthwhile experiences that could be replicated, and we think that this could be a valuable input for this roadmap that we are putting together here. Thank you.
Thank you, Argentina, for these suggestions. I see no other requests for the floor, and I don't know if we have dealt with all the aspects of this issue. Probably not, but again, this is just the first session. If there are no other requests for the floor, I think that we have at least substantial input from different member states. I also see that there is wide support for the idea to come up with a roadmap, and how this roadmap will look, we all will decide together, but it's indeed a challenge to come up with something practical in the end. So I thank all delegations for your valuable contributions toward this dialogue. We now go on to item 4 of the agenda, and that is the report of the Executive Secretary of Integral Development on the approved SEIDI Work Plan 2025. And I give the floor to Executive Secretary Kim Osborne.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you. This being my first intervention, I congratulate you on your assumption of the chairmanship of CD on behalf of the Secretariat. Distinguished ambassadors and permanent representatives, distinguished alternate representatives, colleagues all. I am deeply honored for this opportunity today to provide a midterm update on the Executive Secretariat for Integral Development's Work Plan 2025 from January to June 2025. We've made significant strides across our strategic lines, demonstrating our continued commitment to fostering inclusive, competitive, and sustainable development cooperation throughout the Americas. Under the first strategic line, promote inclusive and competitive economies, we have seen tangible progress. In micro, small, and medium enterprises, under the Micro, Small, and Medium Enterprises Program, we are actively implementing the 2024-2027 MSME Work Plan, which emanated from the 8th Inter-American Dialogue and high-level authorities of MSMEs. This plan is specifically designed to address the critical needs and challenges faced by MSMEs across the region, fostering environments where they can thrive. A key component of this is our Small Business Development Center program, which seeks to create a sustainable and successful small business assistance network throughout Latin America and the Caribbean. For example, our collaboration with the Florida Atlantic University under the SBDC program to strengthen US-based institutions' collaboration with Caribbean small business ecosystems has seen 66 businesses engaged, with 33 successfully completing the program. This tailored technical assistance has included crucial support such as access to the Life Plan business planning tool, personalized one-on-one consulting, and vital export readiness training. We are particularly proud of the 6 standout clients who have showcased high potential for resilience and scalability. DML Bamboo Straw was awarded a 20,000 Belize grant in February 2025 for office packaging and website development. Hot Mamas Belize was approved by Walmart and Amazon and already sending its first shipment through the Port of Houston. Fetish recently registered under Sunbiz and building a loyal customer base both locally and among tourists. We see the Belize Chocolate Company, which received industry data and demographic insight to support its export planning. We continue to provide ongoing support through 2025 via assigned consultants, and Life Plan access has been extended, with transfer options available to ensure sustained growth. The Americas Competitiveness Exchange, ACE, continues to be a vital platform for the sharing of knowledge and the exchanging of good practices between and among member states and the promotion of partnerships and new investments. From April 27th to May 2nd, the 20th ACE in Illinois brought together 65 delegates from 17 OAS member states and 3 permanent observers. This event has fostered 560 business connections and led to 17 letters of intent for cooperation and innovation. The signing of 17 letters of intent for cooperation and innovation, showcasing our region's vibrant entrepreneurial spirit. In science and technology, we are focused on addressing the regional skills gap and readiness for Industry 4.0. The 2025-2027 work plan for the Inter-American Committee on Science and Technology, or MCIT, was adopted with 2 working groups established on AI governance, artificial intelligence governance, and regional cooperation. We've supported expert participation in international events, leading to Panama's offer to host a regional conference on artificial intelligence and biotechnology in 2026. The OAS Youth Academy on Transformative Technologies for the Americas has already reached 38,000 registered participants, 42% of whom are women and girls, expanding access to crucial skills for the digital economy. We also proudly led the AI track at the recent OECD Local Development Forum in Barranquilla, Colombia, engaging over 3,000 participants. Our efforts in culture and tourism have also yielded positive results. The 26th Inter-American Congress of Ministers and High-Level Authorities of Tourism successfully focused on heritage tourism, strengthening regional cooperation and resulting in the adoption of the Declaration and Plan of Action of Ecuador. We also hosted a webinar on safeguarding traditional knowledge, fostering crucial dialogue across the region. Preparations are now underway for the 10th Inter-American Meeting of Ministers of Culture in November. Strengthening the implementation of the SDGs. Our strategic line, strengthening the implementation of the SDGs, reflects our dedication to sustainable development, addressing critical challenges from climate change to water management. In disaster risk management, we are diligently enhancing our regional resilience. We initiated a comprehensive 6-month review of the Regional Disaster Platform, a vital resource that consolidates data from all 32 OAS member states. Upon its completion in the coming months, we will offer targeted training to national authorities to improve the use and transfer of national disaster data, thereby enhancing coordination and response capacity across the Americas. Furthermore, the Collaboratory on Science and Data for Risk and Resilience in the Caribbean, launched earlier this year during a hybrid workshop in Belize, has grown to include 15 participating institutions, fostering vital coordination around shared goals in data access, evidence-based policy, and overall resilience. Its steering committee is soon to be formalized. Crucially, we are developing a regional policy brief to highlight the indispensable role of women, particularly in rural communities, in strengthening climate resilience. Good practices from 5 Caribbean countries will inform a regional workshop, bringing together all 14 Caribbean and CARICOM member states in November, ensuring that our strategies are inclusive and effective. Regarding climate change, we have made substantial progress in securing climate finance and implementing impactful projects. We have successfully finalized negotiations with the CAF to secure seed funding for the establishment of a climate finance hub for the Americas, which comes with an initial contribution of $150,000 to support countries in accessing critical climate finance for their national and regional priorities. A significant milestone is the approval of the Colombia-Peru Climate Project, valued at $1 million, working in partnership with both ministries of foreign affairs. This project will directly support sustainable livelihoods in the Amazon border integration region through innovative value-added uses of agriculture and fisheries waste. Additionally, a promising proposal to the Caribbean Biodiversity Fund has been selected for full development, and we continue our diligent coordination on the Adaptation Fund accreditation process, working closely with internal departments to respond to the technical queries from the accreditation panel. In integrated water resources management, our efforts are concentrated on promoting sound governance and development in transboundary basins and critical ecosystems. We are pleased to report the significant progress on regional initiatives with key partners like the Global Environmental Facility, the GEF, and the Development Bank of Latin America and the Caribbean, the CAF. A notable achievement is the $4 million concept approved by the GEF to support sustainable ocean planning and the blue economy. Our team is now actively working with CAF to develop the full proposal and initiate the implementation procedures. Additionally, development is well underway for an $11.2 million regional project on Sagasa management designed to strengthen tourism, fisheries, and marine ecosystem resilience across the Caribbean. I should say the Caribbean basin. On land, the $14.4 million mangrove conservation project in the Colombian Pacific is now under implementation, actively promoting ecosystem resilience, climate adaptation, and crucial support for ethnic communities. In education and human development, under that strategic line, the Inter-American Committee on Education this year have advanced two flagship initiatives promoting a program for education sector recovery and the program for critical literacy and digital education. We also hosted the Inter-American Exchange Seminar on Democratic Participation in Education in San Jose, Costa Rica, with 20 countries participating to advance civic education and democratic participation. Our scholarships and training programs have been incredibly impactful so far. We have 30,000 scholarship offers, totaling over 4 million offered through various programs, and we anticipate reaching 2,120 scholarship awards by the end of the year, including 450 financed directly by the OAS. The Education Portal of the Americas launched its new AI-enabled virtual campus and has granted 285 scholarships to date. The Leo Pan American Fund provided $617,000 in financial assistance, benefiting 93+ students from 15 member states, mostly pursuing graduate studies in the United States. Promoting decent and dignified productive work for all. Our fourth strategic pillar line, promoting decent, dignified, and productive work for all, the Inter-American Conference of Ministers of Labor approved its 2025-2027 work plan, setting a roadmap across 8 priority areas, including the future of work in the age of AI and the promotion of green and blue jobs. The Inter-American Network for Labor Administration continues to drive institutional strengthening, with 10 ministries of labor engaging in bilateral cooperation activities on key priorities such as workplace violence and child labor. Our 6th strategic line, promoting fostering development, cooperation, and partnerships, recognize that collective action is the most effective path to integral development. The Development Cooperation Fund is a cornerstone of our collaborative efforts. Primarily funded through voluntary contributions from member states and supplemented by support from other multilateral organizations and partners, the DCF aligns with the comprehensive development approach of our organization. The current 2024-2027 programming cycle is strategically focused on climate action, a critical area for our hemisphere. To this end, we have allocated seed funding, or the DCF has allocated seed funding of $1.875 million, which will support 15 national initiatives. This project, developed in close collaboration with national authorities, SETI technical departments, and our national liaison offices, are now ready for launch, and implementation agreements are well underway. Looking back, the successful 2021-2024 DCF programming cycle, which centered on inclusive resilience for an effective recovery with a strong emphasis on education, science, and technology, engaged 15 member states directly and directly benefited over 21,000 individuals and supported 1,014 MSMEs. Initiatives like Uruguay's Diplomado en Herramientas Digitales para el Turismo serve as compelling examples of the regional scalability, innovation, and workforce transformation achieved through this fund. Our Inter-American Cooperation Network, CooperaNet, continues to be an invaluable online hub for driving regional cooperation and partnerships. Between January and July 2025, CooperaNet successfully hosted 3 insightful webinars on national cooperation systems, featuring detailed presentations from Brazil, Jamaica, and Mexico. These sessions highlighted diverse institutional models and effective coordination mechanisms for managing international cooperation, fostering cross-border learning among member states. Currently, CooperaNet features 180 cooperation offers from 8 OAS member states and 21 offers from OAS development partners, alongside 11 identified needs from 9 countries in crucial areas such as innovation, sustainable agriculture, MSMEs, education, and gender equality. We are also proud to announce that Colombia's comprehensive cooperation portfolio is now available on the platform, further enriching its resources. To enhance the expertise available through CooperaNet, we're actively recruiting OAS scholarship alumni to join the Ask an Expert section, enabling them to give back to the region by sharing their valuable knowledge and expertise. The Language Cooperation Program is growing, strengthening multilingualism and fostering educational opportunities across the Americas. We currently have 257 teachers from 16 OAS member states enrolled in our programs, 38 Spanish language teachers at the B1 and B2 levels from 10 CARICOM countries, and 219 English language teachers at the A2 and C1 levels from the SICA region. Thanks to the invaluable support of the Permanent Mission of France to the OAS, 2 new French language training initiatives are set to begin in September. These include a French language course at OAS headquarters for diplomats and OAS staff, and significant language training for 100 teachers and 150 students across 5 countries in the Eastern Caribbean, Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, Dominica, St. Lucia, and St. Kitts and Nevis. This program directly supports the teaching and learning of our 4 main languages of the OAS, facilitating multi-stakeholder cooperation for virtual language learning through partnerships with leading private academic institutions. Finally, fostering the development of competitive, secure, and sustainable inclusive ports. Under this 8th strategic line, we remain committed to fostering inclusive and secure sustainable ports. Barbados has confirmed its role as host for the 2026 CIP meeting, an historic first for an English-speaking Caribbean country, and we congratulate and thank Barbados in that regard. We have awarded 296 scholarships so far under the CIP program and held 5 webinars with over 1,500 participants and conducted regional workshops in St. Kitts and Nevis and Guatemala to strengthen port security and risk management. Strategic partnerships have been expanded, and we've signed MOUs with the AAPA, LATAM, and INESTIC. I hope I got that right, Jorge. The CIP also supported Guatemala's new port legislation and launched phase 2 of the disaster risk management project. We've also published a comparative study on port concessions in 10 countries, offering tailored recommendations. And so, dear member states, as of June 30th, 2025, our collective efforts, to summarize briefly, and I've just summarized, we'll circulate a more comprehensive report for member states to better inform your reporting. But to summarize, we have showcased our leadership in science and technology and innovation, delivering regional high-level events and tools for sustainable development. We've now secured, as of June 30th, 2025, $30 million in proposal approved with member states for new initiatives covering key water and climate challenges in the region. We now have on track to offer over 2,000 scholarships to 28 member states. We have a new roadmap for labor and employment in the region set by the Ministers of Labor with the approval of the Declaration and Plan of Action of Bogota, now under implementation. We have $1.875 million in seed funding for the 2024-2027 DCF programming cycle dedicated to climate action in 15 projects, 296 scholarships benefiting port officials from 31 OAS member states. These achievements are a testament to the dedication of the SEDI team, whom I thank and commend for their continued hard work towards our shared goal, towards our shared responsibility of building sustainable and inclusive livelihoods in the Americas. We continue to forge strong partnerships with our member states, and we thank each and every member state for their continued support and active engagement with the SEDI Secretariat towards the implementation of the goals that we've set in the 2025 work plan. We are proud of the progress that we've made, and we look forward to continuing this vital work in the second semester, the second half of 2025. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Executive Secretary. That was a detailed report which highlights the progress, and we are also proud, I think, with all the work that has been done. It shows that a lot is happening in SEDI, and which is in support of our work here. So continue the good work, I would say, and I think that the member states are happy to hear what is going on and what is being achieved. So thank you once more. I will continue now with item 5 on the agenda, which is the offer by the government of Ecuador to host the 12th Inter-American Meeting of Ministers of Education. Mexico is requesting the floor. Yes, Ambassador, sorry.
Gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Very briefly, I just wanted to reiterate our thanks and appreciation for all of Kim Osborne's work and for that of her team. As we've heard one more time, her report has underscored for us the responsibility with which she and the team work, and the bumping up of all the mandates that member states have given to this secretariat. Thank you very much. We truly appreciate this, very particularly. It's an example of how we can manage an OAS which really serves all people. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador, and I give the floor to Brazil.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Echoing the comments of Mexico, we would also like to thank Kim Osborne for her report. We would also like to thank you for all the success that you achieved this period. We would like to thank the entire executive secretary, or secretariat, I should say, and once again say that Brazil is willing to continue to cooperate in all of the projects and programs in which we would like to cooperate. I really would like to better read about all of this work. It's very impressive because it does benefit real people in our region. So it's really very important for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brazil. And I don't know if this report is being distributed as well. I didn't see a number, but it will be distributed so that you all can see the work that is being done, because often we tend to forget that we have a whole secretariat working on a lot of issues at the same time, and often getting in funding from other resources as well. So this is very valuable work. Thank you again, Ms. Osborne. So then we go now to item 5, the offer by the government of Ecuador to host the 12th Inter-American Meeting of Ministers of Education. There is also a draft resolution that goes with it, and that draft resolution is document CD 4. It's found in, the resolution is 46025, but I have here another number. Yes, CD doc, okay. Yeah, that's the resolution. So I don't know if Ecuador wants to say something on this? Yes? No? Okay, the resolution is actually clear. I don't know if others want to say something about it, but it would be nice to read the resolution, but okay, I hope you have all read it. It's a clear offer to host this 12th Inter-American Meeting of Ministers of Education. And I must say that Ecuador is a very nice place. If you can go there for the Ministers of Education, it would be very nice to learn also from this beautiful country. So if there are no other interventions, then and objections, I propose that we approve this resolution. And I want to thank you. It's approved. And I want to thank the government of Ecuador for agreeing to host this ministerial meeting. Education is very essential for the progress in our hemisphere, and we look forward to the meeting, to the discussions, and to its conclusions. Then we go to our last item on the order of business, which is other business, and I don't know if there are any requests for interventions. I see no requests. So if there are no further matters to be brought to the attention of this council, allow me to express my sincerest gratitude to all delegations for their active participation and cooperation, and I look forward to working with you during our upcoming sessions. And this meeting of the Inter-American Council for Integral Development is now adjourned. Thank you all.